Okay, and we're live. Welcome to Chalk Talk, everyone. And today, I'm very pleased to have Littlehampton Town's finest, absolute goal scorer of a player this year, Mr. Joe Benn. How are you, mate?
I'm really well, mate. It's really good to see you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Keeping all good. So, just a little bit of background. Obviously, you played for Littlehampton Town. You scored an incredible amount of goals this year. And you are going to be playing in the FA Vase final at Wembley in not too long a time. Is it a month, 6 weeks to go?
Yeah, May 22nd. So I think that's 5 weeks.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, mate, excited. It's I don't think it's set in yet. I think it's one of them things that I don't even think it will set in that sort of weekend. I think it will be like as we're warming up and you see actually people coming in and sitting down, that then it's going to be like, oh, this is actually happening. But yeah, right now I think we're still living on cloud nine. It's mental to think about, but yeah, what an experience.
Incredible, yeah, what an achievement. Well, we'll get into more of that as we go through. But yeah, really great to catch up with you. So let's just start right from the beginning. What are your earliest memories of football and growing up and stuff?
Well, yeah, just being from like a really sporty family. I've got a brother who's sort of 5 years older than me, so sort of playing football with him, my old man, and yeah, just literally playing football every day, really, and then just progressing through sort of teams. I think from sort of a younger age, I was sort of with sort of Brighton, but that was sort of like 11, 12, and then I wasn't enjoying it, so I sort of stepped away from that and just sort of played with friends, and yeah, that was sort of how it progressed, really.
Yeah. So what did you say? 10, 11 years old when you were picked up by Brighton?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was around that, and I was probably there for 1 or 2 years, and I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't like the sort of how the sort of academy system worked, and I was quite a shy person,
Yeah.
and I struggled with that, and I just thought, you know what, I'm not enjoying it, and just sort of played with my friends, and did that sort of with youth football as well, all the way up until sort of under 18s, where I played for a sort of a couple of teams that are at the sort of standard I play at now, but that was sort of on the fringes. And that was sort of where I went to university at Hartpury, and yeah, just and played from there, really.
Yeah. So have you always been a midfield player? Obviously, we're going to
Well,
come on to your
yeah,
advancement up the pitch, but when you
yes,
were younger, did you play in midfield?
yeah. So I'd probably say from a younger age, I did play up top. I played where I play now, and then it was sort of as I got older, I sort of dropped a little bit deeper. So then I went into the sort of 10 role, and then obviously getting to uni, I was sort of a holding midfielder, which is mad to talk about now. And when I speak to any of the boys that I was at uni with, to hear that I now play up front to them is probably a mad thing, because I remember our sort of analysis sessions where it was talking about like big impacts, and I was always top of the chain for that and just sort of doing the dirty work. But yeah, it was sort of coming away from uni, coming back playing for a few local teams down here. And that was where I sort of got pushed back up. So I went back into the sort of 10 role. And then it was so I did my ACL playing, I think it was the year after uni. So I was out for a year. And as I come back, I think the team that I was playing with didn't have sort of a striker. So it was like, let's just see how Joe goes on up there, and scored a few goals. And then it's sort of been since that point that I just sort of play there. But I will always say to people that I'm not a natural striker. It's just not my position. But yeah, it's working, whatever's happening.
Well, yeah, who cares? I mean, in the world of false nines and things like that now, anything's possible, isn't it? So,
Exactly.
more power to you. Fair play, mate. So, just on your experience at Hartpury, then you obviously that's where we met. Did you
Yeah.
go there at 18 or 19 years of age?
Uh, I was there at 19. So in my first year, I played with the sort of the college lot in a sense. It was with the under 19s in the
With
first
Moose?
side with that. Yeah, I don't know if Moose was with us. Yeah, he might have been. I can't remember. I remember him in third year. I don't think he was with us in first. We had a few lads like Joe, Parker,
Right.
and the boys like that who was in that first year.
Sadiq?
Um, Sadiq. Yes, yeah, he was with us in the midfield, yeah. And then second year, I sort of obviously couldn't then play for those. So I was in the second team with the likes of Josh Pike. Sometimes you were in there as well. And then it was only in my third year that I sort of made my way into the first team. And again, I'd say, yeah, started a fair few games, sort of had that
Yeah.
midfield position with James Edge, which, yeah, it was a hell of an experience. I think the thing with Hartpury was I came from, because I wasn't at that, I found a lot of the lads that were at Hartpury were sort of ex-YTs, they'd been released and things like that. Whereas, as I said before, I'd sort of just come from playing with my mates, and that's where sort of my confidence wasn't great. I sort of was in my shell a little bit. It was sort of like, oh, well, these boys have, you know, got a bit of a name, they've been places. And yeah, I think as the sort of years went on, I definitely sort of came out my shell that little bit more. And yeah, I think that's why I sort of got to that first team in the end.
Yeah. Because do you not have to have had some, to even get into the college setup at Hartpury, do you not have to have had some link with a professional club, or what was your route into that? You obviously must have done okay at school.
Yeah, so yeah, in terms of schooling, yeah, I did okay. I got the grades that I needed to get. I always wanted to go there. So again, my brother went there a few years earlier, and I'd seen it from his perspective, and I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. Why wouldn't I want to sort of study and also play football at the same time? And I remember I think we had like a trial, and I remember, do you remember TJ, Tom John?
Yeah.
The Welsh lad. So me and him were part of this trial, and that was sort of where I was able to then go in from that in terms of the footballing side. But I'll always remember from that trial, and this sums up my sort of mentality sometimes as a person, that I hate things like that. I hate trials, anything like that. And I remember walking out onto the pitch to start, and there was like a tractor driver going past, cutting the grass, and I thought, why don't I just do that? Why, it just got such an easier life. But no, glad I went ahead, and yeah, an unbelievable experience.
Yeah, obviously a lot of people speak highly of the Hartpury setup. But from your
exactly
experience, and did you think you developed as a person as well through all of that, and living away from home and all that sort of stuff?
Oh, massively. I mean, so I'm a sort of Brighton way, and that's sort of a good 3 hours, and living on your own and understanding all things like that. And like I said, you get to do a degree, you meet all of these amazing people, and you're playing football. I mean, we were playing footballs like professionals at the time. You train every day, you do your S&C sessions and things like that. I'd just recommend it to anyone. I mean, I'm a teacher now, and I always say that to students leaving our sixth form, being like, look, this is an amazing place. If you're really keen on your football, why wouldn't you take this route? It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, good stuff, mate. Yeah, big shout out to Hartpury. I always sing their praises as well.
Massively.
Like yourself and many others who have obviously been there and experienced it with their setup. So you're a PE teacher now. Is that a secondary school? Is it?
Yeah, secondary school PE teacher. I'm in my 3rd year now.
Nice.
But yeah, loving it, mate. Unbelievable career.
Yeah, how you find it all good?
Mate.
It's all right.
Yeah, mate, it's brilliant. It's such a good. I absolutely love it. Honestly, I think it's the best job in the world. And having that with the football, yeah, and with the stuff with like Wembley and stuff, it just makes it mad. Like the kids realizing. So for the last 2 years, so my first 2 years of teaching, I actually worked at Littlehampton Academy.
Right.
So, and then I left this year. I left at the start of this year. But apparently, I mean, a lot of the students now go to the games. So I see a lot of my ex-students from there. But yeah, apparently it's mad around school, around Littlehampton now because of what's happening. And yeah, they love it. But no, it's brilliant.
No, fantastic. So when you moved back from Hartpury, then did you play for one or two other teams before joining Littlehampton?
Yeah, so I joined a local side. So they, at the time, they were in the league below what we're playing at now. So it's sort of Division 1 of the Southern Combination League, team called Mile Oak. So I only joined there because my brother was playing there at the time. I'd never played with my brother. And
where does he play? What position is he?
So he was a centre half. He would argue that he's a striker because he scored a few goals from centre half. But yeah, he's an out and out centre half. But he's sort of been around when he was at Hartpury. He played for a few clubs local to there and things like that. So yeah, it was just one of them things where I wasn't mad on, again, going back to like trials and things like that. I never put myself in those positions. And I was just like, oh, I'll have this opportunity to play with him. So we were there for 3 years in the end. And obviously one of those years for me was out through doing my ACL. And then it was only from there that I think it was 2019 or just before lockdown, that I was like, you know what, he was packing it in. He was like, I'm not going to be as committed as I was before. And I looked at the opportunity at Littlehampton and was like, you know what, I think it's now time to make the move. I knew one or two of the lads from there, and they were interested. So, and that's sort of how it started, really.
Yeah. So you're how long have you been at Littlehampton now then?
So it would have been since the season of 2019 to 2020, but obviously then that one was cut half through COVID, same as the one after. So this is technically my 3rd year, but you know, if you count the last halves, it's It's two.
Yeah. No, great stuff. So did you get much of a following there? What are the? Do you get a bit of a fan base following the team?
Yeah. Well, I feel like, since obviously this run has massively helped. When I first started there, it was sometimes, like, as it picked up a lot, me working at Littlehampton as well, a lot of the students started to come along, which was really good. But this year it's just gone to another level, like things that you'd never see before, especially at step 5. You've got to remember how sort of low down this is compared to sort of leagues up and down the country. And I think the numbers have just progressed and progressed. I think obviously with the FA Vars run, getting really lucky, the draws that we've had being at home, it's sort of developed from 1.5 to 2, and then that semi-final against the Loughborough Students was over 3,000 there.
Wow.
And which is absolutely like crazy to think about. And then that sort of translated into our league games as well, which you wouldn't expect to be as popular. But on Friday night there was nearly 500 there, just for a league game. So what the club has sort of generated for a fan base, and the fan base, honestly, for being sort of a solid group, you've got real young'uns in there, sort of, you're talking year 10, year 11 students, which is brilliant to see. But then you've also got adults in there as well, and they literally sort of go wherever we go. And some of the distances that they travel just to watch us, always cheering. Even the flare comes out here and there. We had a game yesterday and the yellow flare come out. So no, they are amazing, and the club and players, just, I can't thank them enough. They're so good.
Brilliant. What's the furthest you travel in that league then?
So we'll probably, the furthest we go towards sort of Dover, so to the right of the country, is somewhere called Eastbourne. Yeah. So we play, there's 2 teams in our league called Eastbourne. And then the furthest we'll go west is Pagham, so a team that we played yesterday, which is quite close to Bognor, and places like that. So
what sort of travelling distance are you looking at for that?
You sort of, Eastbourne, you're talking sort of 30 miles plus. For Little, so I'm obviously a little bit close to Brighton, so it's a bit closer for me. But those travelling from Littlehampton, you're talking 40-50 miles. So there is a little bit of travelling there, but it's not too bad. I think if you compare us to a couple of the leagues equivalent, they do a lot more travel.
Yeah. No, great stuff. So you're top of the league as well, aren't you? Absolutely. Have you won it yet, or?
No, so it's gone down to the last game. So Saturday, last game of the season, we're 2 points clear to a team called the team below us are a team called Saltdean, so sort of a Brighton-based team. And it's been an amazing season. And for it to come down to the last day, it's brilliant to sort of see. And I think it shows the competitiveness of the league and how we've sort of, us and Saltdean have sort of pushed each other, which is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, no, great stuff. So obviously it's all coming down to what could be an absolute sort of fairy tale end to a season. You could potentially win the league, and then obviously you got the final at Wembley, which obviously we'll go on to talk about. So in terms of that league, is there a lot of teams that pay money in that league, or do they have teams with particularly big budgets at all, or anything like that?
I think you get a couple with quite a fair few with a big budget. I think obviously I'd probably say that the majority would pay. Whether the budgets would be huge, I don't think they would be. But there are the odd 1 or 2 that are quite a sort of heavy budget. I think going into the league, a lot of people sort of wrote us off. So through COVID, we got promoted from the league below. So this is technically our first year in this league, and I think we probably all agreed as players. I certainly, as the pessimist that I am, I did not predict us. I thought, mid-table at best would be one hell of a season, just to sort of really try and establish ourselves in there. So the fact that we're where we are now is just honestly unthinkable. And obviously with the Vars, we're also in a semi-final and a final. So technically we could do the quadruple. Now that's a massive ask, I think.
Like Liverpool.
Yeah, well, there you go. But it just being in that position, I think that's the thing that we're taking away from it, is the fact that we're now at the end of the season, and the last game technically in the league is Saturday, and you're looking at it and you're like, well, we still got all of this stuff to come. Every game that we now take part in is basically a cup final. Who wouldn't want to be in that position? So that's the biggest thing, mate. Where we are with some of the budgets that are around us, we've done really well.
Yeah, so definitely overachieving from sort of how you're set up and where you've come from. Do you,
Massively.
what do you put it down to then? Why do you think you've done so well in terms of, is it down to having a good group of players as mates, or tactically are you better than others, or what would you put it down to? What are some of the main things that have gone well for you this year?
I'll probably go with two solid ones. Number one, I think we've got like joint managers. So Mitch and George, both sort of player managers as well. Mitch has taken a little bit of a step back in terms of his playing. He'll play every now and then. He played the other week. I don't know if it was to try and sort of nudge in a place for Wembley, but
where does he play?
Did play himself. He played left back. Right. And George is a striker. So okay. But George has scored. I think he's second top goal scorer in the league. I'll drop that one in there because that will annoy him a little bit. But
he's
yeah,
got 40. He's got about 43. My records tell me.
We've got 101 between us. So he's finally
not as many as your 58.
No, that's what I mean. He's finally started to pull his weight in terms of this partnership. But yeah, no, them two as a group have been sort of so good for the squad. And then that second point is the group that we have. I think I've been to squads before where you sort of turn up, you play your football, and that's it. But what we have there is it is a solid group of friends, and I think that's the biggest thing with it is away from football, we are a group of friends. It's not just about seeing them on a Saturday and that's it. It's we will go out of our way to see each other and do things like that, and I think that's the biggest part of it because if you look at games like yesterday for us, I mean, we were 2-1 down with sort of 10 minutes to play, 15 minutes to play, to come back and win 3-2 and to keep the league alive, to keep us 2 points ahead. That doesn't happen if you don't have that sort of group, the tight knit that we have. And I think that's been the biggest part to it.
Sure. Yeah, fantastic. Do you have other support staff then? So what happens if the two gaffers are playing? How does that work?
Yeah, so we've got Steve Tabor, who's like our sort of first team coach, I would say. I genuinely don't know his job title. I would say it would be first team coach. And then we've also got sort of like our physio in there. We've got our goalkeeper coach, Jimmy. And then, Mitch's brother, Danny. So it's almost that coach as well. We've got so many in the dugout. But yeah, there's always I can't remember a situation of where Mitch and George have played in recent. I think they played a couple of times together before Christmas. But since sort of after Christmas, that Christmas break, they haven't really, like I said, Mitch has sort of taken that sort of backward step in terms of playing. But yeah, no, whatever they're doing, it's working.
Yeah, definitely. What formation do you play then?
We've sort of changed it up a little bit. We started as a 4-3-3, which Littlehampton, before I got there, were known as a 4-3-3 team, sort of real quick wide players, getting those crosses in the box. Then we sort of flirted a little bit with 3 at the back, 5 at the back, things like that. But as the sort of seasons progressed, we've sort of gone back to that 4-3-3, which it works so well for us. It's doing us the world of good.
So you're playing centrally as the 9, are you, through the middle?
Yeah, so I play as that sort of lone striker as away, and then obviously have those on the left and right.
So of course, I always remember you as that holding, and like a lot of people, as we spoke about, as that holding midfield player. That, to be honest with you, I've always felt you had a lot of attacking attributes, if that makes sense. In terms of you were like a creative holding midfield player, weren't you? I would say more. You were good on the ball, and like you could pick a pass, and you could sort of travel with it and find a pass. And I remember you chipping in with goals as well. So from a deeper position. So I think you always had that sort of more forward-thinking instinct, if that makes sense, even though you obviously do have good defensive capabilities.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, at uni, I just had such a different mindset. I looked at it and thought, with the players that I had around me, I sort of looked at it and was like, I am not as good as those. I think at the time we had Scotty Wilson up front, who I don't know where he is now, but last I looked, he was absolutely smashing it, sort of Conference League 2, things like that. I obviously had Jamie Edge next to me, who had been to so many places, such an experienced head. And I sort of looked at him and was like, I'm in this position. Let's just play to my strengths. Let's do the dirty work. Let's sort of almost just get the ball, give the ball, make sure, get the boys. Obviously, we had Moose at the time as well. Get those effective players on the ball. But yeah, as I've sort of come away from uni, my confidence has grown. My mind shift's changed a little bit. And yeah, I think I wouldn't be where I am today in terms of my mindset and playing if it wasn't for those years there. Having those around me, I remember having Edgy next to me, and it was like the best thing you can have as that sort of young player. That experienced head is always around you, and you learn so much from that. So yeah, they were sort of really important years.
Yeah, Edgy with his bald head shouting expletives at you.
Oh, shouting a lot, shouting at Scotty a lot. If Scotty missed the chance, I remember Edgy. Yeah, absolutely going in.
Yeah, no, good stuff. So are you what are you? You running the channels? Are you dropping short? What sort of nut? Because I'm just obviously you're doing it and you're doing fantastically well at it. And I'm gonna have to get on the YouTube channel and because you've got a nice little YouTube page going and watch a few of your goals probably. But are you holding it up? Are you dropping off? Are you running channels? What sort of striker are you?
I'm definitely in behind, and I think if I was to try and say,
are you quick now? Then yeah.
That's what I mean. This is what I mean. Like you say now, yeah. Over the years, I don't know where it's come from. I don't know if it was this new knee that I got after the ACL, but yeah, I picked up a little bit of pace. I mean, I've tried to be, and that's come from Hartpury. That's come from that sort of professional nature of trying to look after myself, trying to do things in the gym and develop as a player. And I've definitely sort of picked up that yard of speed that I probably didn't have at uni. And yeah, I sort of try and play in behind. But yeah, I wish I could say I was a hold-up player, but I know I'd get absolutely killed by the boys that I'm certainly not a hold-up player. But it's something that I'm trying to sort of get into my game a little bit. I can't be one-dimensional. I can't be, because obviously scoring the amount of goals that I have scored, go into teams, they look at it and go, well, he's just going to go in behind. We played him last time. He's just going to go in behind. And defenders will just give me 5 yards.
Of course. Yeah.
And so now it's about going feet, trying to change it up. But yeah, it's done all right. It's done okay.
No, great. So tap-ins, long-range efforts, or is it? Are you on penalties, free kicks, throw-ins, and corners?
No, literally. I mean, free kicks are laughable. Honestly, I have sent so many over the fence at our place. Penalties, I haven't taken a penalty in a game this season. No, only in penalty shootouts. We've got a real sort of good couple of solid penalty takers.
That's even more incredible than your goal return if you're not on pens. Jesus.
I think if there was a couple of pens this late in the season, I'd be trying to claim them. But yeah, no, it's just been. I'd probably say a few have been sort of tap-ins, been in the right place at the right time. I wouldn't say that I've scored real screamers. But yeah, technically, I think some of the goals have been really good and I've been sort of happy with in terms of highlights. But yeah, for me, it's just about, especially this late in the season, it's about winning. It's not, necessarily about goals for me now. It's about picking up these points. And so back in January, I sort of had a shoulder dislocation in the FA Vars game where we actually lost. But later on we got reinstated back in because of that sort of one of their players was an illegible player. And then when I come back, I dislocated my other shoulder. So all in all, I've probably been out for 7 or 8 weeks and missing that much game time. Now it's just about enjoying it. It's just about enjoying it, getting the wins, and just being around the boys again.
Yeah, fantastic. So yeah, let's listen, absolute props to you having a fantastic season. Obviously, let's talk a little bit about the FA Vars final.
Go for it.
Is it Newport, I believe? Newport
Pagnell, I believe. Yeah. So okay. I think they're sort of Peterborough way. So if you remember Josh Pike, he lives up in Peterborough now, and whatever team he plays for, I can't remember. They're in his league.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't really know much about them, but it's a massive opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah, fantastic. And yeah, just stepping out on that sort of Wembley pitch, I think it'll obviously be a fantastic experience for yourself and obviously all your teammates and your family. Obviously, I presume there'll be a decent crowd there that day. It probably won't be fully packed, will it? But you're playing at Wembley, so who cares,
That's been the sort of mad thing, especially with the FA Cup semi-finals on this weekend. Just watching it on telly and being like, this is crazy to think that that's where we're going to be playing. And yeah, we'll bring sort of really good support down, and I'm sure they will too. It's a massive occasion for sort of both towns. And yeah, obviously in the afternoon you've also got Wrexham Bromley. Wrexham have a massive following, so whether they come down sort of a little bit earlier potentially, obviously there's quite a bit of travel involved, so whether they get there early, which might fill it up a little bit, but I mean, we could be playing in front of no one. It's the experience of being there, and that's the sort of massive thing for it.
Yeah. Have you got a celebration planned out if you score at Wembley?
No, not a chance. No, I'm definitely not thinking about that. I think it's about doing what we can as a squad and doing our very best to sort of pick up that win. I think it will come down to the team that sort of handles the occasion the best on the day. That's the biggest thing. We've been around long enough to know that it's a cup final. Anything can happen. Form goes out the window, and it's about dealing with that occasion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people in these situations will say, sort of, don't play the experience, just play a normal game. But
Mm,
obviously, I've never been in that sort of situation. But from my experiences, it's probably going to be, you're playing at Wembley. It's going to be
mm,
I still feel that you need to try and enjoy that experience for what it is, because it's such a once in a lifetime opportunity for yourself.
mm.
And it's probably on the day it'll be about trying to get that balance between enjoying the occasion, absolutely, but obviously focusing on the game, because obviously you're going there to win, aren't you?
Oh, without a doubt, I think that's it. You've got to look at it and go, this probably will never ever happen again. But then also look at it and go, well, we know it's not going to happen again, so let's really make the most of it by doing everything we can to win that game. And they're going to be thinking the same thing, of course. Who wouldn't? It's, as we said, it's a cup final.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have full confidence in us as a team to, if we play our game, that we'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, listen, I just wish you all the very best with it, mate. It'd be great to. I'll be trying to watch that day on telly and cheering you on, and just wish you all the very best with that. And what an opportunity, and enjoy that experience for what it is, because like you say, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. So all the very best with that, mate.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for coming on, and like I said, all the very best for that. Thanks for listening, guys. You've been listening to Chalk Talk. If you've enjoyed this video, please drop a like and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you next time.